Hey everybody, welcome into the Beehive. I'm your host, TheBee at LLC, and this is where we stack precious metals like it's pollen and nectar. Our pollen is silver and our nectar is gold, preserving our wealth as honey of old. Like ancient metals, we hold our own. And today we have Ian Everard of ARK S.G.O with us here today. And bring him up. Ian.
Hey there, long lived.
Welcome into the Beehive. How you doing?
Thank you.
Yeah, well, so we had some black Suburbans roaming around up there.
Yeah, thankfully I didn't bump into any, which is good. I got a very short fuse with Jerome Powell, to be honest. I don't know if you saw when he was basically just laughing. That
Yeah, I did.
You know, it was so funny, wasn't it? The good shit transitory, you know.
They pushed so hard.
Yeah, and we all knew it was a lie, but you think the damage it did to people who didn't, who believed them, and it's like the arrogance of it. It reminds me of that FDIC meeting. Do you remember? I think somebody got security footage, and they were just laughing that the public trusts the banks. It's like,
Yep. I watched that too. How they were saying that the public had more trust in the banks than they did. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. It's you really couldn't make it up, could you? It's very dystopian, very George Orwell.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting. I guess, you know, somebody was making a point, and I thought it was a good point. Like the government goes back and forth with the Fed, but the Fed is answering to the BIS basically instead of.
Yeah, and of course the owners of the Fed. But yes, it would appear that's a hierarchy, that the Bank of International Settlements, that's where the deals are done and policy is set.
Yeah, and I hear that none of the people that were gracing your Jackson Hole area are from or in the States. They all just come in for their little meeting here, and
yeah,
and
I don't know why they come here. It's
well, I think I do, because it is absolutely beautiful there. I mean,
well, I guess, but there's got to be another reason, isn't there? Maybe this. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't dig too deep. Just let it ride.
Right. Yeah, that's probably why they can laugh about the transitory statement.
Yeah.
After that much time, they're not answering to us. But yeah, I think it was a pretty sad to see him come out and say it like that, and have everybody laugh about it. I mean, it's good for us, good for the way I look at it, but amazing that he would slip up kind of like that. Or, I bet you think. What do you think about that?
I agree that level of arrogance. Yeah, I mean, that does really snapshot, isn't it, of what they actually think of the citizens of America.
Yeah, I mean, after how hard they tried to sell that for so long.
Yeah, and they want to appear to be being a semi or even fully federal institution that's here to help us, and it's the exact opposite.
Yep. But I mean, they're talking about cutting now. You think they're gonna go ahead and cut then?
Looks like it, doesn't it? So I was completely wrong a year or so ago. I predicted they'd get up to 8%. So yeah, I mean, if they do cut and they're still creating more units of currency and they cut, we're going to see a lot more debasement, aren't we? And costs of things will rise. I was going to say inflation, but the currency debasement is the inflation.
Right. Yep.
So I don't know. It doesn't feel to me like this is the final curtain. I know Rafi Farber last year, he was frequently, he said August, that was the end of fiat currencies, end of the fiat dollar, gold and silver will be money again. And well, what have we got? 2-3 days left to the end of August.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think Armageddon is coming yet. But it does seem to be a death by 1,000 cuts, doesn't it? As people's earning power, their effective earning power is just reducing gradually.
Yep. Hey, Liberty Bleeds Silver, are you still in here? Did you already take off? He said he was going to take off, but I wanted to mention one thing to him. If he's still here, let me know if you're here, Liberty. But yeah, hey Dub C, welcome in, and Brian Kerr, good to see you. Chew, thanks for being here. Yeah, so with the silver, looks like India, I heard, has bought up now suddenly more than they did last year, which they were did well last year too, right? So that must
is that government or domestic or both?
I was thinking government, but I will have to look into that and check. I'm not.
I guess that would be the more reported figure.
I would have thought.
I mean, I do know they were talking about becoming a major solar panel manufacturer. So they better get their silver in quick whilst they can.
Yeah, and I would think now that other countries too, like they were talking last year, India being importing for the citizens for investing, and I would think that would do nothing but increase from here on out as far as knowledge wise of what's going on, right? You would think that they would continue if they can afford it. I don't know, how that goes, but and then I heard since last we heard that that the Shanghai Exchange has surpassed the COMEX in storage.
Really?
Metals at this point.
In actual volume of silver stored?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a bit.
And then there's that continued, and then they still have that arbitrage there.
That's a bit disturbing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Anyway. I do hope that somehow that the US is stockpiling a lot more than we've spoken.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting to me, is what stockpile that we don't know about and what they're stockpiling that we don't know about still, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's I mean, I did buy some 100-ounce bars that came out of the US Strategic Reserve in the 1980, 1981, and some 1-ounce rounds that have stamped on them, made from silver from the US Strategic Stockpile.
Really cool.
So yeah, it is concerning, isn't it? Can our well, that's not. I was going to say, can our governments be so stupid? Well, absolutely, they've proven that.
Yeah,
but it's just so obvious, isn't it, that silver as crucial, if not more crucial than on crude oil. I mean, we can produce plenty of oil. We're producing more oil than we ever have done, and any nation ever has done. But to not have a stockpile of silver is just crazy.
Yeah, and just for me and my little way of thinking is that, like now looking at gold being at an all-time high and kind of in all currencies, it's kind of starting to take off now. It just makes me think, as far as even hedging wealth, when people start to look at gold as for sure that number one shiny thing, now labeled a tier one asset even by the BIS, and so it makes me think that they're going to be more keen on being safe in gold, and to me that's going to turn around and highlight silver, because if there wasn't such talks earlier about the debasement of all currencies, now including the dollar, I can see how they can, by tamping it down, as they say, and kind of keeping a lid on it, how you could kind of keep it hidden in the dark. But now I would think that would even bring a demand for investment from other from us and other countries and just all everywhere around, I would think that would start to highlight even the savings side of silver that I think a lot of people might not have been looking at before.
Yeah, wow, you put a lot of points in there. Let me try and get back to where you started. Yes, we're hovering around nominal fiat currency denominated all-time highs, but it's nowhere near reflected the currency debasement yet.
Indeed.
So I think what's more interesting, more important at the moment, that gold recently overtook the euro as a central bank reserve. So tie that with it being declared, as you said, the tier 1 asset, it will be chasing the dollar as a world reserve. So in order, it's the dollar, gold, the euro.
Right. And even though that might be, we were talking, I don't know what that might, it might still be a fairly good foot before it gets there. But even the fact that if it's gaining on it and being all those other things that we covered, it just seems to me that anyone who has the sense, which might not be a lot of people yet, but the story is starting to pick up a little bit that way. And I don't see the price backing down much. I mean, I guess it's maybe coming down a bit at the very moment, but up above 25 or in that area, and to see a little bit of weakness in the dollar, man, I would think that would really start to shine some light on the metals.
Shall we talk about Chad's comment there? If you see that, long-lived, about why are all the metal channels saying gold is going down?
Gold is going down. Yeah, that's
yeah. I mean, I must admit, I've heard a bit about that. I did have some comments when I was on Commodity Culture the other day. So is it different this time? And I think if you didn't really know and you're one of the channels, statistically, you'd be more likely correct to say it's going to pull back and it's going to fall back, because this is the action we've seen. But we do get many points in history where it doesn't pull back. You get a dramatic rise and then that forms a floor. So I think we're forming a firm floor around the 2,500. And on silver, I've the privilege to talk to one of my suppliers. He's been in the business over 40 years. And he's always been pretty negative over the 2-3 years I've been learning from him. I asked him about a week ago, what do you see for silver? That's when it was around $28. And he said he sees maximum $1 downside and a $4 upside.
Wow.
So that's someone with 4 decades of experience. I mean, he must have dealt with billions of dollars of silver, literally.
Wow.
And he's always been very negative before, and I've asked him, because often a client will ask me, well, do I buy now or will it be cheaper next week? It's like, I usually just answer, well, I'm right 50% of the time, so you might as well toss a coin.
Yeah.
But sometimes there are, to me, it's been, this is obviously the dip, 2020, that $11, $12. I think it's showing us $12 on the chart.
Yep.
We had, was it September 2022, $18. I think that was late September, early October. And
yeah,
then
about right.
And then last year, same time, we got down to the 22s, I think. I don't think we're going to see 22 again, let alone 18. So it is higher lows and, and not quite higher highs yet, but we have seen, I think yesterday it was the 8th attempt. Silver broke through 30 since March the 17th. So, and I don't pay too much credence to charting and all of that.
Yeah.
But there is a value to it. And there's obviously market sentiment does affect the spot price. There's people get in on momentum. And if they, so if you put up the last 6 months on silver, we've had, I think I counted 8 times it's been through 30, then back down below 30. So it's an interesting chart for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and when it's so many people are have been pretty hard on silver lately, in my opinion. Even on both metals, like to me, they're both doing quite well. Now, if you got in, they're back at this $50 high or whatever, I
Yeah.
could see you being a bit upset.
Yeah.
But for me, I got in right in here,
Yeah.
and was hitting it hard in through here.
Yeah.
So I say at $15 at 30,
Wow.
I'm doubled already, as far as
Yeah.
if I would have loaded up everything I had right when I came into it. And gold is just a little bit over silver. Like, it depends. If I go back a month, silver had actually beaten, was doing better than gold.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're both in both metals. For me, they both about doubled, and for me, I'm happy with both of them. But man, silver is being hated on right now, and it's up at like $30. So I don't know. It's just, I
Yeah.
guess, how
It,
you're viewing it.
I mean, I think about three years ago, we had a client who wanted to purchase gold, and I said, why gold and not silver? And they said, convince me. So we did a document. I think we came up with 25 reasons to buy silver. I need to have a look at that, because I could probably turn that to 40 reasons to buy silver now. And I mean, literally just a few days ago, most people who are watching this will know already, but Samsung have announced their solid state battery is pretty well ready to go into production. It looks like Lexus will probably be the first car brand to use it. And they're talking 600-mile range, 20-year lifespan, and a 9-minute fast recharge time.
That's what I heard. It's pretty
And if they pull that off, who would want gasoline?
right.
Especially
That
if
could
you
be
can
a big
charge
end.
at home. I mean, we belong to a rural collective electricity, so it's a co-op. We pay 6 cents a unit. So, it would cost virtually nothing to drive a car with that sort of battery in, and then if you're doing a road trip, you got that quick recharge. So they were talking the average car using that would use a kilo, 32 ounces. And that made me sit up, because that's what Keith Neumeyer was talking about in 2021. And I do remember one of my first interviews on Gold Silver Pros, I mentioned EVs using 32 ounces because I'd heard Keith Neumeyer frequently say that.
Yeah.
Now it looks like that's coming to pass. And the math I saw on that, if 20% of new cars start using this battery, that will need 16,000 tons of silver annually, which is against a 25,000 ton worldwide production. So we could easily see this solid state battery technology requiring all silver mined. Just
And
one.
that's just one new
Yeah.
innovation in the midst of all the
Yeah.
new ones that we haven't heard about.
Yeah, and I've been saying since 2020, solar could easily demand all the silver.
Yeah,
because if you've got the right location and you've got the capital, the principle to build out the solar, it makes cheap electricity, which is it's a no-brainer. So India's piling in. China is I think the biggest producer at the moment. We're going to become a pretty major player. Georgia has been made a manufacturing base for the whole process. So and for years ago, Chevron, a few years back, were the second largest solar player in the world. An oil company. So we're going to see growth in solar because it makes financial sense. It makes a profit.
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to say congratulations to Brian Kerr and welcome into the Osmium Club. Good to have you. Also, Chad talks about the price of a Big Mac going up 3x, and that's one of the reasons he's a little flustered about silver not being 3x yet with inflation. And I totally agree.
it's
but
the
but there's
the
go ahead.
moves are always like that, though, aren't they? Long lived. I mean, how many times I think I've heard Rick Rule say the most that 80% of the move is in the last 10% of the time span.
Right,
We're
especially
not in that. We're not in that part of the move yet.
yeah, and yeah, especially when you have like the CFTC coming in and tamping it down when it does try to run.
Yeah, the Rostin. Yeah.
So yeah, and that's kind of the point of like for me, Chad, and but I mean I totally see and get and agree that that's probably where a lot of the sentiment comes from. But that's what I look at as such a still an opportunity that we have, because it's still, I mean, I can't say I'm it's 100%, but I agree. I mean, even just with regular inflation, we know we have more room to go up, and this is one of the things that would lag. Let alone they're trying to keep a lid on it. So. And then let's see what else I was going to mention. Yeah, and to Joel,
I just saw the question there. Is there room for 90% in your personal holdings, or are you strictly? No, I'm steadily building up 90%. I mean, obviously, we see quite a bit passes through, and if I see something really nice, I'll put it aside. I have got a lot of 40%. Because I was able to get that at spot. In fact, for us, we have sold 40% at spot. I think that is, if you've got the space and you understand it, it's not necessarily very liquid, but it's still silver. If you were taking it to a refinery, you're still going to get 95% at least of your silver value. And I've got a fair bit of 35%, the war nickels. So yes, plenty of room for 90% and 35%. And I mean, I'm blessed being a dealer. Obviously, it's easy for me to move in and out of different types.
Yeah, and I would say, and I totally know where you're coming from, but for maybe people who don't understand, I'll throw in the other reason why the 35% might, like, why that would be something interesting that you're carrying it. Because there is the negative side to like what we've experienced over the past 50 years, where those don't quite carry the premium that other silver would carry, because the smelters don't like to necessarily separate some of those other metals in there. I've heard that. Is that true? Or
I don't think so. I'm in a refiner. I mean, if they're paying you 90 and 95% for the silver, they get the copper for free.
I heard it was the other metals that was in those 35 that was unique. I can't remember if it was
the war nickel is manganese.
That's what it was. Yeah,
and manganese is a crucial alloying metal. A lot of steel is manganese. Steel makes it very hard wearing.
Okay, yeah, I just had heard some people didn't like dealing with it because of a few of those reasons, but as far as premium wise, like especially where there's going to be a need for small amounts, I mean that would be a great place to get in. So
I think so. And you've got the red book, haven't you? I mean, there must be millions of copies of the red book out there. So you've got printed material that clearly shows what the content is, what the years, So if somebody was confused with the 65 through 70 for the 40%, or the 1942 through 45 for the war nickels, there's millions of copies of the red book. I got my large print one here.
Yeah, I got my small print one right here. So,
if anybody wants 35% or 40%, we will sell it at spot.
Nice, cool. All right. So yeah, and then of course, I guess you got the inverted yield curve, I guess, is kind of crossing back over. Some chartists say that when that happens, that's when
when it uninverts, we're already in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same with the first rate cut. Every time when they update the data, it means we're in recession and it's getting worse, because the rate cuts I mean, they pretend that they're forming. They're pretending that they are managing the economy and GDP and employment, inflation. They're pretending. You know, I mean, I think they have dozens, if not hundreds, of PhD, doctorate people working at the Federal Reserves. You know, and they have all of these crazy long formulas to make them look like these incredible magicians of controlling stuff
that try to get you to stay on the transitory.
Of course it is. I mean, I don't believe you, Jerome Powell. I was a bit rude actually the other day on Tiger Stacker about Jerome, but I will say this: he lies, and he lies a lot. And in there, he slips some truths, and sometimes he slips a lie into some truths, and it's they know what the score is. They know what is going on. They know that by
that's
having
why it was laughable. That's why he laughed.
Exactly. Yeah. Like us plebs, you know, what do we know? You know, it's I mean, the whole history of the Federal Reserve has been about crushing the average American, stealing some of their wealth. That is their mandate. Their mandate isn't stable prices and low unemployment. I mean, who do you think they are kidding a lot of people. But I mean, you look at all the mainstream news media, like the Fed this, the Fed that, you know, and all this forward guidance came out, didn't it, a few years back now? We'll talk about what we might be doing because that will change, you know, things now. And it's
and they admittedly kind of say that they have to talk it the way they want it. So it's not necessarily that they're being honest. They're saying what they want you to think, or, you know, and that's got, I mean, that's not easy for them either. I mean, they're in such a bad place. It's almost out of their hands. Like I've been saying, I kind of think that they're just going to stay where they're at here. And they've stayed quite a while. And even now, I'm not so sure that they're going to cut. I think they might just stay, but I don't know. We'll see. But if they do, man, I mean, woo!
I mean, we could see silver doing $1 a day for a few days rise. It's a whole big trap, isn't it? I think I've mentioned it before. Grant Williams told a great sort of modern day parable about the financial system we're in, and he said it's imagine you've got a wilderness area where there are wild boar living there and you want to catch them. Well, they can smell us a mile out. You'd never get near them. So you go to where they're living and you put a fence up, and then, you know, you scare them away, and then you go away for 6 months. They come back, they get used to it. The fence is part of their environment. You go back 6 months later, you put another fence up at a right angle. So you formed a corner. And then 6 months later, you know, you go back, they've all got used to it. You go put another fence up. So you've got a U shape, let them get used to it. And 6 months later, you go back and put a fence with a gate in it, and the gate's open. 6 months later, they got used to it. They're inside a compound now, and you shut the door. You've caught them, you know, and this is what it is. It's a slow, and the door will slam shut. And that's when the majority of people will lose the bulk of their perceived wealth.
And you know what's funny is that even though I've got there just by looking at what's going on, you're got there just like you walk through it by seeing what's going on. And then the funny part is you can go tune in to Klaus and hear him say, this is exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you're laying out there. So
yeah, you will own nothing and be happy. And they must have edited that off, because the end of that sentence was, you will own nothing and be happy, or you'll be dead. That will be the binary choice. You accept it, or you won't be able to exist.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. So since we last talked, Osmium has taken a little ride.
Yeah, the Osmium World Council have been resetting the price steadily, haven't they? I think we were 1575, are we? Or was that yesterday?
Let's go let me share my screen here. I'll pull it up. So yeah. There we go. Let's go. Yeah, so we were down here at 14. Actually, I think we were even lower. With 14. So 3 months, we were down to 14, 15. Was that the low? Let's go 6.
No, I think we were
1388.
just under 1400. Yeah.
Yep. Now we're up at 1584.
Oh, up another $9.
So strong little run up there.
Yeah, I mean it's set to get to about 2400 end of 2026.
2400 into 2026. Yep. Woo.
Yeah, and at some point they're going to switch to pricing it in carats, which is 1/5 of a gram.
1/5 of a gram is a carat. Okay. Yep. I wonder why. What's the reasoning for the switch there? Do you know?
I think it's actually giving it recognition. And you look with the total 350 kilo production, that makes it around, if my math is correct, 60,000 times rarer than diamond. So it makes sense to price it in the rate by the weight that diamonds are priced.
Okay.
So that's one reason. But I don't mind. I don't mind if they price it in kilos, but that's a bit scary, I guess, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah, I was just kind of wondering if they had it, like if they had said anything or anything about it, but they're just kind of converting over there it's interesting because I hear people talking a little bit about it, like when they're the people I've been talking to about osmium and jewelry, it seems to come up in the conversation often, carats.
Yes.
And so, no, I mean, it's just kind of interesting. I'm wondering, just thinking about it, but okay. Interesting.
I mean, yeah, I guess it will have some emotional, some factual influence on some people, I guess.
I don't know. Weldon Carey, welcome in. Good to see you. Yeah, okay. So, yep, it's taken a little run up. I also wanted to, I'm going to quit sharing the screen and show how to, I know I've showed this before, but I'm going to pull up the osmium identification. And so in this little chart right here, check your osmium. You can look at your code. So okay, so this box here, you can take your, what do we call this? We call this the osmium code OC.
It's your alphanumerical code. Yeah.
Okay, so this is your OC code, osmium code, OC identification. Anyway, and so you put in whatever letters you have here. So on this one, I have
A. You don't have to enter the
first one.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to start then at this second A. PKA dash CERA, and that will pull up your piece. So this is my shooting star.
Wow, is that 7? Very small on my screen, 700 and something dollars.
Yes, 739 euro. So dollars, that would be what, 750? More than that, maybe.
Add 8%, roughly, if that's in euros.
So 730.
Congratulations, Brian. I'm a 2mm square.
No, I'm doing it wrong somehow. So 739
multiply by 1.08.
1.08. I thought I could just do 0.08, but okay. 798. So
Wow, you're nearly
almost
$800.
almost 800.
I knew I shouldn't have sold that one.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful piece. So yeah, so that's all you need to do to show your code. I know Liberty Bleeds might be wondering that. So yeah, you just come up here to you go to Osmium identification code, and then this little check your Osmium code box here is where you put in that certification number. So yeah, what else new do we have going on in the Osmium?
In the Osmium world, ooh, what's going on? I've been pretty busy in the silver world this week.
Yeah.
So we did get a delivery. So I did do a short unboxing video, just pretty rapid. So that's on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
But yeah, the orders keep coming in. I will put this idea out there. So I just had a client, he ordered 10 sparkle-free 2mm squares.
Oh, cool.
And he's going to make them into a cross and get his jeweler to make a gold surround for him. I thought that's a brilliant idea.
Cool.
Just to use them to build up a cross shape.
Yeah, broke. There's already a few watchmakers.
We got Shapak, Ulysses Nardine, Humboldt, Un. I've not got my watch on today.
Yeah, Ian has a beautiful watch, and when you see his,
I think it's anybody watching own a Rolex. I don't want to upset you, but I think it's too high class for Rolex.
Yeah, it's pretty. There's some pretty nice pieces.
And the math, actually, there's probably enough. If they used all of the Osmium production to make watch faces, that would probably make about 40,000 watches.
Yeah, so tell us again.
Think how many Rolexes are out there. Millions. Got to be. Millions of the things.
So the total, did you say it was like a size of a basketball or something like that squared?
Volume wise, it's 2.5 size 7 basketballs or a 10-inch cube.
Or a 10-inch cube. That's what I was
saying. Yeah.
A 10-inch cube will be the total volume of osmium produced.
Yeah.
When they're done producing.
So there probably never will be a Rolex because they'll be too late to the party.
Zoomage here.
That's got a beautiful sparkle.
So you've heard people talk about getting a lot of value in a dense package. This is one of the most. This is going to be one of your best. When you talk about gold, they were talking, so gold is now taking up less space than its value in cash. If you take a bunch of
really?
Yeah, stack them up.
It's crossed over.
Yep, it's actually less space to store the gold than the cash. And this would be far surpass gold. So like he said, the total amount of osmium to ever be crystallized into this form here, like you're seeing, will be.
It's hard to comprehend, isn't it, how few pieces will ever be made.
A 10-inch cube.
Yeah.
So if you want a high value in a dense area, small area. And as far as going to another country and, you know, wearing jewelry like this, I mean, you know, here's $1,000 right here, you know, and that's a pretty small footprint.
Yeah, and there is, I think, an Asian company or for the Asian market, someone made an elephant's head in gold with cutout, and inside slid an osmium disc. So you could transport your osmium disc without cutting it up and inlaying it into. So you could have multi-purpose use that way. It's already been used for high-value transactions by European family offices are using it.
Yeah, and for crossing the country, I'd like to know if it's easier to, you know, transport a lot of value through osmium than through any other metal.
Yeah, I mean, the wealth density is an interesting feature because you could have an incredibly high security system, but because you're storing a very small volume, it's economical to the value.
Yeah, and it has a built-in safety device, a code in the piece. So while you're traveling, you don't have to worry about losing it or not knowing which, you know, getting a different piece back or anything. You know, it's easily identifiable. They won't be able to resell it on you, you know. So
yeah, it's pretty unique, isn't it? That whole ownership code, and you can also do you can transfer not ownership but transfer possession.
right.
So once you've got your OCC, you can then, if you give your piece to somebody to look after or to make into something, or even store it somewhere, they can be the registered possessor. So yeah, it's got multi layers of security built in.
Yeah, though I haven't done it in my mind, it seems to me that that's a good way if you're looking to move high volume of value from country to country. It seems like that might be a pretty viable option.
Oh, Broke Stacker's got a good comment there. NFT. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Well, it's an FFT, isn't it? It's a fully fungible token in effect. So you could tokenize it. In fact, hopefully we're going to get that done. It would be an FFT. So I don't know if anybody's ever talked about that, but that's a perfect, you know, because a non-fungible token is like, well, that means it doesn't exist, doesn't it? It's non. But if you tokenize real osmium, it'd be an FFT.
Yeah. And have we gotten very far on that, Gerald? Have we done some pushing down that trail?
He's working away at it. So yeah, we're looking for investors. So we could start with an initial stockpile, vaulted. Would probably vault it at Idaho Armored Vaults in Nampa. It's about a 4 hours drive from me. So it would be independently vaulted and audited, and then we could start tokenizing it and selling ownership digitally.
Sweet. If you need someone to help audit, I'm your man.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. All right. So how do you, when you're getting those boxes with the little light in them, and how do you get a hold of one of those? The little flat miniature blue light that you hold up to your osmium.
Oh, the osmium lights. I think I've got a box of them here if anybody needs one. So they come when you buy a bulk package. So you normally will get one. I think most white LED flashlights are going to be the 5000K frequency.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's a 5000K frequency, parallel light beams.
Okay. And then like, yeah, I'm just kind of looking and thinking about some of the accessories that go good with it. Maybe that light or which light works best as well. Like I've seen it look well in such
Sunlight.
or exactly sunlight as well for sure. Yeah. And then this is just a little jewel picker that I learned from Space Miner while I was watching him mess with it. It's just got like a little silicone tip on the end, and
I
boy,
need one.
is that nice for when you're like you and me, yeah, showing the pieces off to
Oh
people.
my.
You can just barely touch it and it will grab it, and you can flip it over, and I mean it makes it so much easier to work with. So
I'm gonna get one tomorrow.
yeah, and they're just like $5-10 or something from
Oh well.
Hobby Lobby.
I did drop I think I dropped a 2mm square in the store here, and it was like, oh, that's gone. But I did find it,
Oh,
thankfully.
nice, good.
I thought that was gone.
Oh, speaking of which, he must have had his ears burning on him. Space Miner himself dropping in. Good to see you, Space Miner. So yeah, what else do we have here? Oh man, so let me share my screen here. This was quite a telling story. Which if you guys, I'm gonna maybe do a little video on this or something, but you know how I talk about lawful / legal and fiat / money, and I need to make kind of a headline of such effect, and the lies and truth would be another another good one. But this is in Texas, and they pulled over two Chinese nationals for let me see if I can get a picture of the gold. So this gold here, $250,000 worth of gold. And
Can I interrupt there?
yeah,
I wonder if it was $450,000 of gold, and the police were searching the car, sort of kept reducing the amount of gold.
well, could be, but but there is no need to even question. I mean, I encourage people to go watch this, unless this is a fake thing, deep fake or whatever. I don't think it is. CBS 19
Because it was
is
hidden in the car. Was it hidden in the door panels, or I think it was built into the car, wasn't it? Into a rental car.
I didn't hear the details
Okay.
on where they had it hidden, but what's blows me away is listening to their explanation of what they're doing, and this is purely completely unlawful in my opinion. And to me it shows what happens when you start you get away from reality, and you're not using real money, and you get corruption comes in through all of this fiat that just comes surging in, and it starts fracturing in society. And law is one of the first things that starts getting fractured. And you look back in other cultures and histories, empires that have fallen, this type of thing takes place.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect example of, like, I don't think there's two ladies that talk in this video, and between the two of them I've never heard two people incriminate themselves more. And it's simple. I mean, they're talking about just that they're bad, and then we're good, therefore we should be able to seize. And they talk about this law that got passed that is trying to be overturned, and they're saying we need to keep this civil forfeiture
Yep.
act law in here so that we can keep seizing stuff like this.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're you gotta listen to it, like it's so and totally unlawful search and seizure. And what's funny is they talk about them illegally coming across the border. and that they talked to him and stopped him and everything. And they go on and on. They don't have any evidence. The dog signaled, but then there wasn't anything there. So they signaled that there was drugs there, but there was no drugs there. And she talks about how well the dog was trained. Well, to me, that shows that that doesn't work. But it just, like, the amount of just completely unlawful, and yet they're arguing that just because they want the gold, pretty much. And I think people should watch this, and hopefully I can make a little video on it. But it's just sad to see the corruption that comes in, from and not knowing, like, that's, here we have gold, and there's nothing unlawful about having the gold, and they don't have any evidence against them.
Yeah.
But it's that, maybe, and that was the other thing, is that it might be going to be used for something bad.
That's a civil forfeiture, isn't it? You may be on your way to commit a crime,
right?
And when you prove that you weren't, we'll give it back. So it's proving an unprovable, isn't it?
Oh, and I wish I could.
You might have thought in your head, "I am going to go and commit a crime." It's
yeah.
I know some people have been really badly affected. People on the way to purchase vehicles have been stopped and had cash taken. And I don't know if this is correct, but I did see an article once. They were saying that theoretically they could stop you, empty out all the credit cards out of your wallet, run them to their maximum limit, because you could be on your way to commit a crime with the credit line you've got on your credit cards.
Get out of here! Wow. Yeah,
so yes, it's going to be abused, isn't it? For sure.
Yeah. And I mean, this is just like, I think it's actually a real video, but you'd almost say, like, this can't be, like,
yeah.
You can't be. You got to be. I mean, this is supposed to be a court. She's a district attorney for her state, and oh my goodness. I mean, to me, they just. If I heard this and I was a judge, I don't know how I could not find them, guilty in so many different ways. But they're arguing just, and I mean, then the lady in pink, I don't know what she is, but she just, like, backs her up every once in a while with a, yeah, because they're bad people.
Yeah.
It's just like, what you just,
because they're Chinese.
Whoa. I don't know, because they had gold, I mean, I don't know.
From a fairly woke legal system. Ooh,
right, yeah. I mean, if there's any, arrest them because they came across the border illegally. You got them there, fine. I'm all good with that, sure. But yeah, this is a nothing. And they go on to talk about that too. Like, it's like, oh, if they wouldn't have came into the country and got really wealthy, they're okay to be here. But since they got all this, well, we can't have that.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, really? That's just.
It will be interesting, won't it, if China arrests some Americans and we get a prisoner swap. We'll just have to send some Americans over $300,000 of gold, get them arrested in China, then we can swap and everybody can go home.
Silver Boy Blues makes a good point here. He's saying, I worry when I go to the coin show as a seller that if I'm pulled over, they could try to seize what I have. For sure.
It's the hassle, isn't it? Because it's a no win for the person who's getting their property taken, because the costs to legally reclaim it would often exceed the value of what was taken, and then the inconvenience of not having that on your person. Yeah, it's I mean, thankfully I very rarely travel much further than Idaho or Wyoming, and we're pretty safe there from this sort of nonsense. But I think California seems pretty dodgy at a civil forfeiture.
Yep. Wyoming looks better and better, that windy state, I tell you.
Yeah.
If
There's a lesson: don't drive around with $250,000 of gold bars in your car, I guess.
yeah,
So,
yep.
but yeah,
It's not that I'm totally backing him. It's just that, man, oh man.
no, I know. Yeah, I know where you're coming from. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
but I think we probably will see more use of precious metals criminally when we've gone fully digital, because it will be the most convenient way of doing illegitimate deals, won't it? So, and unfortunately, that could eventually adversely affect the purchase by normal citizens.
yeah, yep. Yeah, so yeah, Space Miner says keep it locked and out of view, and that's true too. Just you'd be surprised, and it's okay to say no too. Like that's what they often you would think that, okay, they're not really bad and out to get me, so you allow them to do things, but it turns out that they're not there to necessarily be your friend sometimes. I mean, there's good ones and bad ones, but it can happen that way for sure. So gotta take what precautions you can.
Yeah, I guess the osmium would be a bit more resistant, wouldn't it, to that, because there's irrefutable proof of ownership,
Yeah,
independently
no, that
verified. So that's
indeed.
another plus. If you
Yeah,
want,
and
if you want to travel with $250,000 of precious metals, just use osmium.
that's kind of what I've been thinking. And like I was talking, country to country and on the flights. And I mean, to me, it really could be an answer to some of these people's problems that they're worried about traveling with, and especially have a big big circle or a big what is some jewel, just set it into jewelry, a big
Yep.
piece, and you can get as much value as you want to there. I mean,
Sure.
get a couple big earrings and you could buy a house with that value. So
Eventually, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you had the 4.5-inch discs. Yeah,
yeah,
you
that's what I was mean. It'd be a little heavy on the ear though.
$250,000 on each ear. Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to be a good way. I would actually like to kind of know. I mean, it'd be interesting to find out a little bit more about that. Now, what was your experience when you came through with you had a little bit of an experience, right? Did you travel with some, or what happened there?
With osmium, no, I've had no trouble.
Okay.
I get different response from different TSA officers. Some want to open every tube, break the seals, and I sitting there like, you're just going to tear the seals open, aren't you? On my whatever they are, because the Philharmonics and the Eagles have a seal on the lid, and it's like,
They broke them?
one officer insisted on checking every coin.
No.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's like, so I have to leave a bit longer to get through security just in case that happens. But most of the time they're really nice. You have a good chat. I give them a business card, and I did have one come in the store actually. So
oh, cool.
Yeah. But no, I've had no real issues apart from the weight. Lifting it over your head into the overhead can get a bit stressful.
Sure.
I did break one. I had a 250-ounce, a quarter of a Comex bar in my carry-on, and right at boarding the plane, they insisted that I had to check it. And I thought, oh, what you do? If you kick up too much of a fuss, you're just drawing attention, aren't you? So,
yeah.
But that came. They must have thrown that, and that 250-ounce chunk of silver had nearly escaped from the case. It broken a big corner out the bottom. It's like,
wow.
So yeah, big lumps of silver don't travel so well.
Sure. Yeah, okay. The only way for senior a strong upward climb. Yeah. Well, it's Ian was saying that by 2024 the price was looking to be around what did you say, or what did you say, or 2026, excuse me.
2026, yeah, they were saying it's going to be 160% rise, and that's when it was 1400. So 1 times 1.6, yeah, 2200, 2300, and that will be, unless there is some the purchases start to exceed their cutting and certifying rate. So
okay.
yeah, it's an unusual situation. Some people don't like the private monopoly of the production, the private monopoly of the cutting and certifying and wholesaling. I have no issues with it, and when people are asking me about it, I know usually within about 30 seconds if they're going to buy some or not. You don't have to sell it, really.
Yeah, right.
It's so unique, so rare. It doesn't really matter if 99.999% people don't get it, because there's not enough for them. So
right. Yeah, it's funny, Neil, that works in Russia anyway. I know that happens quite a bit.
Oh, slipping the cop. No, that's not legal advice. No, I found them very, very helpful. I so often get stopped for not stopping a stop sign, because we have so many stop signs round in our neighborhood, and it's all wide front yards, so you can see half a mile in all directions. And I so frequently get pulled up for not stopping the stop signs. But the around here, the police are very polite and helpful.
Yeah, cool. They probably see that Ford Lightning and they think you could probably outrun me if
I do joke with my wife about that, and she doesn't find that funny. It's, only just got it back after hitting a deer. It took a while to fix it up. I did a fair bit of the deer did a lot of damage to it, but it's all back now and working fine.
Cool, good deal.
Oh, did you see? Do any of you guys watch? Oh my gosh, what's that channel, Ruben? Diesel.
Oh, such a.
There's a YouTube channel guy, and he's been testing Ford pickups against the Tesla Cybertruck, and he's worked out that if you hit the hitch on a Tesla Cybertruck, the whole casting shatters and the hitch falls off.
Oh wow!
And apparently somebody was towing a caravan and it went over a bump.
Whistling
Diesel. Oh my gosh, he's hilarious, that guy.
Wow.
Yeah, Space Miner knows him. It's like, so it looks like all Tesla trucks will have to be banned from towing trailers. It's like,
wow, interesting. Yeah.
Huh. Anyway, we're sort of diverting a bit, but it was funny. I thought it was funny talking about.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, and I do recommend if you guys get a chance, boy, you'll be blown away by hearing these two talk about this seizure. I was blown away by it anyway. CBS 19, but anyway, I'm gonna drop that off. Let's see, Silver Boy Blue. Yeah. So yeah, Ian, looks like we're a little over an hour. What do you got for deals going on? I suppose we can wind it down a bit.
Yeah, we sort of pre-announced one. We will do 40% Kennedy halves. So that's a 1965 through 70. We'll do those at spot on the silver content. So 7 of those beautiful pieces of history have just over 1 ounce of silver in. So you've got really nice 1/7 of an ounce fractional silver, provable from the red book. And then we'll also do the war nickels at spot. So I think 20 war nickels have 1 1/8 of an ounce exactly silver content. So that's real fractional silver at zero premium.
Zero premium. And those are is that 35% or what is
35% silver. I think it's 15% manganese and the rest is copper.
Okay.
We got some great deals. Yeah.
What's your regular 90% going for?
90%, we're about $1.50 per ounce premium. Okay. So to do the math on that, add $1.50 to spot, multiply by 0.715. That will get you dollar face. We do have some Austrian Philharmonics. We will sell those by the tube at $1.10 premium.
Nice.
Which is lower than our Buffalo rounds. That's wrong, isn't it? That's wrong. Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and we do have some 1 1/4 ounce St. Helena guineas with a £1.25 fiat currency value on nomination on them. Beautiful
coin.
Beautiful coin. Those are $1.50 per ounce premium over spot. So about the same price as a Buffalo round, but you're getting a beautiful coin with the queen on if you don't mind the queen.
Nice. Cool. All right. Are more people after this Fed? Have been anybody been is more gold or more silver or about the same? Not anything big difference yet here. Or?
A lot of silver. Yeah, predominantly we've been selling silver this week.
Yeah. Have you seen much of a shift in demand or not much yet? Or
we've been picking up. I mean, it's pretty anecdotal. We've been just over 4 years, so obviously we're now getting early clients coming back around and buying more. So it's hard to form a pattern, but talking to the wholesalers, it's incredibly quiet retail. Really quiet and slow.
Yeah. Well, I knew that was the case, but I'm thinking that's probably going to start to shift here soon to where I'm guessing there's going to be another heavy run on it. Is just my thinking. I don't know if I'm right.
I think so. I think we're going to see 1 or 2 big players come in and just mop it all up.
Yeah,
but they're not having mine.
Indeed. Yeah, I see some possibly big spikes coming up. So that's what I'm thinking might be coming. So get it while you can is my
Philharmonics are $1. I said that, didn't I? $1.10 premium. That is lower than a Buffalo round for an Australian Philharmonic. 2020s they are as well. So good date.
No doubt. Get on those. That's a great deal. All right. Well, I think that's about all I had. You got anything you want to leave everybody off with before I wrap it up?
I think we should repeat what Neil is always saying. Be kind, be polite, be helpful.
Kind, helpful, and grateful.
Yeah.
Better than being happy. Indeed.
Yeah.
And buy silver, platinum, and osmiums. Another.
Yeah. Don't bother with the Big Mac anymore. Just I mean, if you can get half an ounce of silver instead of a Big Mac, buy the half ounce of silver. Right. Then buy a potato, go home and bake it. It'll be a lot tastier than the Big Mac probably.
Indeed. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks everybody for being here, and Ian, thanks again for coming and hanging out with us and keeping us up to date. And we'll get you back in here again soon.
You're really welcome, LLC.
All right, and everybody out there in chat, we will catch you on the next one. I think I'll be back Saturday, and I think I'll be up before that. I'll probably have maybe an open board and chat panel. I need to talk to some of you guys out there, so stay tuned, and we will catch you all on the next one.